Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third-party video. In this video I'm taking a look at the MB-01 Archenemy, part of the Master Builder series from New Kids on the Block Fans Hobby. This box is very heavy, deceptively so. Packaging itself is nothing untoward, with product shots of Archenemy scattered over the box. And here he is out of his plastic prison. I know this figure to be the Robots in Disguise, back in 2000 I think it was, their version of Scourge. Japan did Car Robots 2000, and again I think he was Reverse Prime in that. It's been a while since I watched it, but in all intents and purposes, this is Scourge. You always run a risk when you get a product from a new third-party company. You never know what you're going to get. This, I'm very happy to say, is amazing. It honestly is. The heft, the build quality, the paint applications, the articulation, the durability. It is mind-blowing. These guys are new to the party as a company, but I've been reliably informed they have been on the block before. They have come from various different groups and come together, and the result, it is easily up there with the likes of DX9 and Fanstoys. I am that impressed. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are going to buy this mould for this Scourge, or whether you're going to be waiting for the MB-04, which is their G2 kind of laser rod Optimus Prime repaint. But for those of you that are getting it for Scourge, he looks incredible. He's even boxed in a very static kind of retro Transformers pose, but there is nothing static about this figure whatsoever. Now, much like his RID counterpart, he does come with a glorious blade. That show absolutely loved big swords. I tried desperately to get an original figure to compare this guy to as well, but the prices on eBay, they just seem to rocket. I don't know if it's anything to do with the release of this toy. There's a couple of Korean versions, but then you have to pay the shipping on top of that. So if anybody does have one and want to donate it to me, then yes, do so. Email me for my address. Anyway, we get a rather large, very nice translucent red sword. It's a good hilt on there, nice tab there. They've gone for the Make Toys style tab, which slides down into the palm, giving it a very natural looking grip. We also have a peg which can fold out of the hilt, which corresponds with the tab on the back of the shoulder, so the sword can be hung over his back like so. I'm not a huge fan of how that hangs there. I like that it can be stored. I would have maybe liked the sword to be mounted across the roof section if possible. I like it going kind of across diagonally, but I see why they've done what they've done, and I like the fact that they've given us the ability to hide the storage option as well. Both the peg on the sword can flip down, and also these sections can flip and fold around to reveal or to hide the whole. Now, not having any of the Car Robots line, unfortunately I can't compare him directly to his predecessors, but I can show you with MP10, albeit I'm still missing a smokestack. I've lost it. I have no idea where it is. It's fantastic. He shares a lot of the same traits as MP10, kind of the articulation, the way they've sculpted the legs, the thighs, the crotch, and the feet. It's all very, very similar to MP10, except they've done it right. He's not a flippy-floppy mess. His joints are exceptional, and some of the best I've encountered on a third-party figure. For example, my Prime has flippy-floppy legs. That's some tight joints. For those of you pondering getting the MB-04 for your G2 collection, He's gonna look ruddy good, I tell you that from the offset. Here he is alongside G2 Bumblebee and G2 Sideswipe. Oh, we need more G2 figures, guys. How about a bit of a continuity mix-up? And just for his namesake, here he is alongside Scourge. Now, I've already told you he's a big, solid lump of a figure. He's made of a very robust, strong plastic. There's a lot of die-cast in this guy. Joints are super tight. Let's take a closer look at that sculpt. The sculpt is very reminiscent of the original toy. Some nice kind of translucent eyes there. Unfortunately, there is no light piping, although they do still manage to catch the light quite nicely and appear to glow. Now, Fans Hobby have contacted me. The Scourge model doesn't have an opening chest. Although this section is sculpted to open, it doesn't actually open on this particular model. The MB-04, the G2 Optimus Prime, that does have the chest opening function. Because they share the same mold, they just didn't include this chest opening section for this particular model. I'm sure there's reason and logic behind it, but that's what they've told me. They emailed me telling me that the MB-04 will have the chest opening section with the matrix of leadership for G2 Optimus. The shoulder sections are really good. I love how bulky they are. The tyres are actually a plastic, although they're sculpted and painted up to look like rubber. Nice sculpted ab section there. Coming down to the legs again, you can see what I mean about the resemblance to the MP10. I've got this crotch section here, and you've got these really nice chunky thighs. The legs themselves have got some nice sculpting on the inside there. Big chunky knees, again some nice tyres with some chromed out sections. Coming around to the back, we do have a little bit of a backpack, but that's to be expected. It's very true to the original. Nice chromed out stacks there as well. Scourge's butt, and of course we do have that sword. Let's take a look at the articulation. His head can look up and down. We can go left and right on a very tight swivel. There unfortunately is no pivoting on the head. I would have liked a ball in there just to add a little bit of pivot, but we do get a good range. The antennae can move forwards and backwards. The shoulders can come out on a friction joint. They can come down. We got a very nice soft ratchet in there. We have a rotation at the bicep. We have a 90-degree bend again on a friction joint. We have a rotation on the wrist. The fingers are pinned, and we also get an additional trigger finger which can come slightly further forward, all on that same pin though. Coming down to the waist can rotate on a nice tight friction joint. We do get an abdominal crunch, which is always nice on a figure. It's not a huge range of motion, but it's nice that they've included it. The legs can come that far out to the side on a nice soft ratchet. That far forwards, that far backwards. We do get a nice upper thigh rotation again on a nice friction joint. We get a nice bend at the knee on a very nice solid metallic ratchet. Really nice. You actually get a double joint in there. You just have to bend it at the thigh first to get full range of that leg, and you can get a really nice deep bend there. Coming down to these feet, we have some crazy pivoting going on, and we get some nice forwards and backwards motion there. The heel spurs can work independently, as to can the toes. With all that die cast in there we can get some really nice natural poses. He really does look aggressive, doesn't he? Now, as gorgeous as he looks in his robot mode, unfortunately I do have to get him transformed up. And for the purpose of the transformation, we do unfortunately have to remove his sword. Right, starting off with the upper torso, you want to grab the head and you want to rotate it 180 degrees, so it faces the back. There's a small tab on the back section here. Now it's tight the first couple of times you use it, so the first time maybe use a tool like a screwdriver, but you need to move it so it's facing straight upwards like so. This now gives us the clearance to move this screen section backwards. We can now untab the head and bring that down. Because we've rotated the head around, we now have enough clearance to slide the head into the chest cavity. But once we're clear, we need to rotate the head back around. It's just a matter of rotating the head. I'm not fussed about it at all. If that's how they've got around the clearance issues, then so be it. But yes, once the head is clear, we can push that fully down so it's submerged in the chest, and then we can bring the front of the cab section back down. Come around to the arms, and this is pretty much standard practice with most Masterpiece figures now. You'd want to open up the arm cavity, and with the hand facing palm upwards, you want to rotate it into the empty shell, and then bring this section down and just push and close that fifth section off. Rotate the arm so the circular section is on the inside and move it outwards. We're going to rock the shoulder up, and as we rock it up, it's going to go up and over the top of the chest. This arm section is going to bend down, and once they're up to the top, you can just push and tab those both together. There's 2 points, one at the grill and one in the center. It does take a little bit of maneuvering and a little bit of getting used to, but once you've figured it out, it does work quite nicely. And there's also a small tab underneath the side of these arms, and they're going to tab in to the side like so. Once you've done that, you need to pull and extend the torso section, flip up the rear spoiler section here. You want to bring out these gas tank sections, and as we bring them down, they're going to flip around and rotate into that gap, and then we can bring the ladder section out. We can now bring down this section here, and it's actually on a double hinge, so we can now straighten off this section and bring it down, completely sealing off the back of the cab. In MP10 style fashion, we can bring the heel spur down, bring this section up, and flip around these side sections here. There's a small tab on the inside of the leg. You want to push this tab in, which allows us to collapse these thighs down. And then there's the corresponding tab on these two sections. You want to push those together, and then we can just apply pressure to these wheel arches. They slide downwards, which then allows us to tab these gas tank sections in firmly and holds everything into place. We can do the same for these front wheels as well. Just push down and slide those down. And here we have him fully transformed up into his vehicle mode. Now, it's not the most complexing of transformations, and there's not as much involved as some of the, say, X-Transwatts Masterpiece figures, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It definitely hits a lot of those nostalgia buttons for me. Now, it can't quite get everything to tab in perfectly. It may just be the way I've done it, and this was actually a pre-production sample. It wasn't a final piece, so maybe there's slight differences, but overall I am genuinely very, very impressed. This is a first offering from this company, and it feels incredible. It feels like a very professional piece. I mean, that is a very good looking version of Scourge. I mean, their Laser Rod Prime looks incredible. I've seen the test shot pictures of it, and I can't wait. Now, there will be a gun included with Prime, and there's an option to store the gun on the back here. I haven't found anywhere to store his sword in his vehicle mode. I don't know, maybe we could probably plug it in somewhere. I don't know, maybe I'll plug in on his butt there and just hang off. I'm not entirely sure where it's meant to go. There's nothing in the instructions about it. It doesn't really locate anywhere on there, but that's a small price to pay for something that looks as nice as it does. We've got a nice big grille on there with a space to add an insignia of your choosing. I love the red used on that cab as well. Nice translucent colouring. Smokestacks look bloody awesome there. Really nice. These sections back here have got more of a kind of smoked charcoal look to them. I like how this section all folded down. I was concerned that maybe it was just going to be hanging there, but then as we collapse the legs, it does tab in nicely here. I love how the wheels can drop down as well. Again, I was concerned about clearance issues of the underbelly, but no. Now that it drops down, everything rolls as it should. Now, of course, you guys are going to want to know, does it fit with the MP10 trailer? Scale-wise, yes it does, but unfortunately there is nowhere on that hitch to attach the actual trailer, unfortunately. But maybe that's an option. Maybe they're going to do like a little mod or an upgrade kit for us in the future, which allows us to just plug that trailer in. It would be nice. And of course, how does he scale alongside other Masterpiece figures? Very well. He scales very well indeed. I mean, lengthwise, he's probably a little bit long. He's a little bit oversized there, but looking at the size of his cap and the size of spike, etc. that come with the Masterpiece figures, it's actually a pretty good representation. And I mean, he does tower over the cars, but again, he's a giant truck. So there we have it, guys, Archenemy from the guys over at Fans Hobby. This, in my opinion, is a very strong first offering from this company. The build quality is very good. The transformation is okay. It's not too complexing. I've stepped you through it step by step, but it'll only take you a couple of times to do it before you'll all know it off by heart. I'm genuinely very impressed by the weight, the heft, and the overall build quality. And for a first offering, this really has impressed me, and I can't wait to see what these guys have in store for us. Is this something we need in our collection? Have they found a little niche in the market, or are they barking up the wrong tree? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, from myself and Archenemy, a goodbye.